Hi, this is Shui with a review of the kd12. As you can see, the most fascinating feature of this shoe is the newly introduced Zoom Air, full-length Zoom Air right underneath the insole instead of having a strobel board. But it kind of defeats the purpose. It doesn't serve any unique purpose except like having a Zoom Air in your insoles, like some of the Alpha project designs used to be for the Flyposit and whatnot. Interestingly, it's got a lot of separations. Although it's one piece full-length zoom mirror, it's reminiscent of the turbo zoom mirror introduced in Kyrie 5s. But the difference is this zoom mirror is very narrow. This is the insole, and this is the shape of that zoom mirror. It's very narrow, so you only feel that cushioning at the core. At the core, when you have the impact at the core, and when you're moving side to side, you can feel that difference in the cushioning, and that's not very good. Heel to toe, it's really all the way there. But the downside of the Zoom Air is that it's so bubbly. It's kind of a convex, a bubbly Zoom Air that pops up at the center of the foot. So you feel cushy, but it feels like there's pressure on your feet that cuts off circulation. I guess it doesn't matter for really long, heavy, not exactly heavy, but long guys like KD. But for average Joes who wears like size 9, you can really feel there's this discomfort there. The Zoom Air is definitely responsive and good. It's very thick, but the thing is, it doesn't cover a good area. And if you only have an ortholite insole to go with the Zoom Air, this is not enough. This mushy, soft to the touch foam is not enough to go with the Zoom Air. You need to have something like this, where it's actually pretty thick, and the Zoom Air is fused with this sort of like an EVA type of foam instead of an ortholite. That way you can have somewhat of a balance, and the Zoom Air in the middle, even if it's just at the core, you will still feel the bounciness and the energy return. So this is a very flawed design. Maybe you could have used a strobel board or somewhat of a foam layer on top of that Zoom Air to even things out, but you didn't do that. And the foam they used, they did not mention if it's Cushlon or Lunarlon or React. So if Nike did use that kind of tech, they will blurt it out and write it out in big bold font. So they didn't say anything. So this is some type of an EVA foam, and it's very firm. It's not very good at all. It's got a lot of holes, a lot of perforations, so that's to make it more lightweight, and a lot of holes mean it's going to be a lot more plush and soft, but it's not working. It looks good. It looks like a valiant effort, but it's not working. It doesn't work. And the weight, it's not terribly light. It's closer to the heavy side. It weighs around about more than 350 grams for a size 9, and that's somewhat close to heavy, especially when you boast technologies like fly wires and whatnot, and this so-called quad exile fly wire. Why do you need a multi-directional fly wire? That means it's basically just an upper layer that's pulling on all sides. That's just woven or like just one single layer. You need fly wire to provide support for certain directions. If it's pulling on all directions, what the hell is the purpose? The tongue is nice. The tongue is quite plush, and it's not too thick or hard. But nothing too much about the shoe is that breathable. It's got another layer underneath the mesh and fly wire layer. So yeah, it's a two-piece upper, so that's good. I hate one-piece upper. That's a good development, good improvement. The collar padding is very plush, and there are no weird areas that chafes and eats into your skin, so that is good. The heel cup is inside, and it serves its purpose without digging into any part of your foot. That's good. And they have this lateral support, a little bit of a tensile soft plastic layer, and it's got this pearly little shine to it, and that's a wonderful touch design-wise. And the toe box, the outsole comes up all the way to cover a bit of the toe box, like a classic Converse shoe or a shell toe shoe. So this is good in terms of durability. The outsole is fantastic. I love the outsole. It's got somewhat of a cross between the KD10 crop circle, crop circle, wavy type of pattern. This is good traction, and this is also similar to the KD11 traction, except it's got little cuts and nodules, so it's like a hybrid between the Kobe AD mid outsole and the KD11 and 10 outsole patterns. This is wonderful stuff. You can see this hexagonal zoom air. Apparently this is a double layered zoom air, but you can't feel it because again I mentioned the midsole foam is very firm, so it completely negates the zoom air. If it was sort of like the ones used in the Kobe AD Next, which is pretty thick, maybe you could feel it, but if it's just at this central part and it's surrounded by this thick firm foam, that's not going to work. Size-wise, it's really snug. It's short and it's narrow. Go up half a size or a whole size, unless you have a unique set of feet that caters to really snug fitting shoes. For regular Joes like me, I needed to go up a whole size. Price point, I don't think it's too bad considering they used a full-length zoom mirror. That's a new type of full-length zoom mirror, and all the elements that's used. It's a reasonable price point. I can't really think of anything more nice to say about this shoe at this point.